And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, mayoral candidate Guy Malone with us this morning. Morning, Guy.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Guy.
Hey.
I'm sure you get that a lot.
Hi, Guy.
I know a Guy. Well, first off, thanks for coming on the show this morning, and thanks for running for mayor. I've said this to every candidate, or tried to. Hope I didn't forget anybody, but these are positions of the people. These aren't necessarily the polished politicians that serve these roles in the municipal election. And these are people you go to church with, people you go to school, go to restaurants, shopping, people you live your life with. And we appreciate you coming in and saying, I want to help with that and be a part of it. So win, lose, or draw, thank you for stepping up.
Thank you. It has been probably the best adventure of my life so far. Win, lose, or draw, I'm so glad I'm in this. It's been extremely rewarding.
Sure.
Fortunately, I think I've changed a lot of minds, reached a lot of people in the last several months. But like you said, and don't forget the people you go to the theater with.
Yes, absolutely.
But there's this time of candidate, there's more people that have never run for office that they had, like when we did the Leadership Roswell Forum that we were all invited to.
Yeah.
3.5 hours long because you had 14 candidates.
Sure, 4 mayoral candidates, 4 in race or ward. Or is it 5 in Ward 4 and 3 in another? So. And yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. It's most we've had in a long time. And it's not just the politicians. And honestly, I don't think it's just a local issue. It's not like I'm going to get up here and say everybody's sick of what's going on locally. Nationwide, it's just the tide is turning. Sure.
The people are stepping up. It's a lot more government by the people instead of the professional politics. That's just the move. That's just something we're in right now. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. So I got to ask, for folks that don't know, Guy, I mean, Roswell Communal Theater and that side of things, you've probably seen him a lot there. You worked for Cattle Baron for many years here. So first, give a little background about you, just to kind of step around that, and then finish that up with what made you decide, you know what? I mean, because you're living your life, you're doing your thing, you're probably pretty happy. What made you decide to say, you know what, I'm gonna decide to throw my hat in the ring for mayor here?
Well, I moved here in 1999, actually. The last time I was on was a few years ago. It had to do with my views on the alien phenomenon.
Yes, yeah.
I went ahead and dropped a Facebook link, or on my Guy Malone for Roswell Facebook page, not my personal one, but Guy Malone for Roswell. I dropped a link of a lecture I do in 1947, what really happened, the man-made view of the UFO phenomena, or of the 1947 event.
Incident, yeah.
And I've done that lecture here in town a few times. I'm glad it gets front page news. But for money, that's always been sort of nonprofit or hobbyish interest.
Sure.
Like I've done sales.
Pastime for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done sales and restaurant most of my life, as far as, like you said, Cattle Baron. I'm so glad that a lot of times when you're a restaurant worker, you keep, one day, hope I get a day job or something like that. And I do work from home now. But as far as being part of the community for so long, I think that's where a lot of people know they know me from.
Sure.
Even if it's just my voice or it's just the face that they see.
Sure. Or saw you in a play or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that guy from Cattle Baron.
Yeah.
So I can thankfully lean into it that for 90% of the people that know me from that alone over the years is that I've made a pretty good impression. They know they like me, whether they understand my politics or views and others.
Sure.
No big deal. But a lot of the
you have a personality that they like.
Yeah, and in a race like this, especially at the local level, character matters.
A nice guy.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. As long as you're not a girl saying that, that's fine. That's the kiss of death there.
Yeah, I'm not trying to date you.
Mike just friend zoned me. Oh, golly.
Sorry, guy.
Right off the bat.
But I am taken.
But, yeah. Good. Yeah. But no, just character matters. So
Sure.
I think I've shown that people respect at least the way I've worked.
Absolutely.
And I've kind of joked around. If you know me from there and you don't like me, it's probably because I charged you $1.95 for that cup of soup right after you told me you weren't going to the salad bar. So it showed up on your bill. Sorry about that. But
Gotcha.
That's why they made me a trainer, I guess. So, but yeah, it's a huge part of my life, both the relationships, friendships there.
Sure.
But I tell you, the stuff you just overhear. The stuff that people don't realize, the person that's serving them is actually listening. I've heard the voice of the community for years and years, the good, the bad, the ugly, and stuff like that.
Scuttlebutt, yeah.
It's good word. So you find out the opinions of a lot of people. What I've known actually a lot longer than most people think that I would be running for mayor. Back in the aughts, in the 00s and the 2000s.
Way back.
When I was having some fairly successful UFO-related conferences here in town. And bringing in speakers from it was usually at the back in the day, the Best Western Sallyport.
Okay.
Had like 3 or 4 years of conferences there.
Okay.
That were not part of the UFO museum side of it, but it added to what was bringing people to Roswell.
Sure.
People think I'm more knowledgeable about this UFO thing than people think. So I know it's one of my campaign points to slightly de-emphasize it.
Sure.
And push stuff that's in the performing arts. But
moving it to private.
yeah, even in the aughts, because of the success I was having with that, I owned the domain that the Daily Record they cut and paste my schedule for 3 years in a row and put it in the Vision. The domain was RoswellUFOfestival.com
Gotcha.
back then, so I helped community organizing from that end. But all I was going to say is I used to joke, and I think I was joking at the time that, well, I'm either going to be run out of town with pitchforks and torches, or I'm going to wind up running for mayor or being mayor. And I didn't know I was joking at the time.
No,
it's I
the
thought
latter,
I was joking at
good,
the time.
right?
But yeah, 2.5 years ago, even before the lockdowns, a friend of mine, we started really talking about it.
Gotcha.
So I've known that I've just felt called to it in the sense, and then the lockdowns happened. All of our lives just kind of went upside down on hold for a while. Mm-hmm. But I knew 6 months ago, at least, I started talking a little more with a broader group of people here in town.
Sure.
That I would was good. So before either of the other major candidates or any of the 3 candidates other than me declared, I knew I was in it, that I was felt called to it, and the main thing that I feel that if I look over all of my campaign points or all of what I do is that there's this overarching sense of poverty and curse, and we're just broke, and oh God, the Army base closed, and the Levi's plant moved away, and the ice plant, and the candy. And that is still the stuff that's coming out of people's mouths and hearts. So I've introduced on my site, you've seen a few ways that I think could bring in new money to Roswell. It's not out with the old and with the new. It's more of a make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver, one is gold. So I'm looking at ways through my industry contacts now, because I do Bitcoin from home, a copyright editor.
Okay.
You've probably seen that. I'm a grammar nerd. That's it. I get to correct people's capitalization and spelling and AP and fact check and make sure if you're OCD like me or if you're CDO like me as well, which is the same thing except I alphabetized it because it was bugging me. But no, when you're reading something on the internet, though, those little punctuations or whatever like that bug you, I get paid for fixing that stuff.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, and I know something because I've heard talked about some of your platforms and things, and yeah, you're right. They're different than, like you said. You kind of, like you mentioned earlier. It's not out with the old, in with the new, but kind of a working the two together. But the new is new. I mean, like you said, you're talking about you said Bitcoin, but getting into the virtual cryptocurrency world and getting the city on that kind of stuff, and I guess I imagine your biggest pushback when you get pushback on that is due to lack of understanding of how all that works. Am I
a little bit? I mean,
pretty right on there?
I got invited. I did a talk for a Christian prophecy conference. Actually, it's online. You can find it somewhere on my sites. But is Bitcoin the mark of the beast? That's like a big elephant in the room that people are worried about. Digital currency and government shutting us down.
Yeah.
But the people that were working on digital currencies originally in the 80s and 90s, they were the cypherpunk movement. And they saw coming that governments would be shutting us down for our political views, freezing our bank accounts.
Gotcha.
Everything that's happening in Canada and Ukraine.
Yeah.
They called it, you're right, decades ahead, so they were trying to front run it. So the invention of Bitcoin has nothing to do with criminal money or laundering. Criminals do use it, and they also use cell phones, and they use the internet, and they use oxygen as well. That doesn't
criminals
make those
will
things
use
bad.
whatever is to their advantage. That's easily, that's what criminals do.
And so will you and I.
Path of least resistance. Yeah,
but it's a new thing that I got really interested and passionate about. Around us, Texas and Arizona are both making Bitcoin as legal currency laws.
Okay.
I can rattle off half a dozen states, actually, Wyoming and Colorado, literally everyone right around us but us.
It's something that in 10, 20 years is going to be as common as the dollar is right now.
5 or 6, yeah.
I'm giving a number here.
But the point is, I have the ability to connect with that industry because of my job title. Any CEO, any company, I can say, hey, Guy Malone, Roswell, whether I'm mayor or not. I have had a good talk with someone on the Chaves County Economic Development Board. So you're going to keep
trying that regardless if you're mayor or not.
Yeah, you have a better platform for anything if you have that, but you can use the word mayoral candidate, or you can use member of the Economic Travis County Development Board, something like that.
Sure.
So I'll be joining that pretty recently, mayor or not. But the point is, it's new money. It's something that almost nobody understands or nobody's heard of. It's like we're in an era of people were afraid of electricity and saying that stuff's dangerous and that's killing people.
Oh, you're going to be dying. People are going to be blowing up in their houses. Yeah.
And especially the candle makers and the oil salesmen. You know, they
got
creating
a real
all these
scare on it.
editorial cartoons and fear in the newspapers. So that's where we are on that.
The carriage people were pretty mad at the Ford Motor Company,
that's
too.
Right.
When that was going on, too.
Oh, they were. There's cartoons. It used to be a law. You had to have someone walking in front of your horseless carriage with a red flag and ringing a bell. That was a law from the lobbying of people that didn't. And nowadays, it's the banks and the investment firms that are the heaviest advertisers in newspapers and media that are writing a lot of the slamming articles. Meanwhile, on the down low, they're buying it up. Before everybody else.
And that's really where we're at in crypto world is, the people, the tried and trues are going to be like, we're going to be fine with this and that. But in reality, that's going to be the way the world goes. And it's kind of like smartphones. How many of us sat and said, I'm never going to have a cell phone. I'm not going to. Now you can't live life without one. You literally cannot be a member of society without a cell phone because that's just how it is nowadays.
Right, yeah. Just because of the knowledge and the contacts I have, I would love it if every business in town got ahead of the curve and knew how to accept Bitcoin. Yeah. Like you can pay your AT&T bill online with it now. People don't know that. You can buy a new or used car from Dallas Ford. You walk into Burrito Express on College, you look at their sign on the window when you're walking in. They've got a QR code for accepting it. Yeah.
Nice.
It's I think you have to do it online the way they have theirs set up. But it's an industry, it's new money. I'm not against the old money so much as I've been quoted correctly and a little misquoted too. And I bring it on myself too.
Sure.
But I have a real vision for bringing new money, and even as a savings account for the private individual. I started collecting $10 a week out of my bank account of it. And now I'm, after 4 or 5 years of that, and some bigger purchases, but I'm not concerned about Social Security being there for me or not.
You got your nest egg.
I'm 53, and I will be fine. I was like,
good deal.
10 years from now with the appreciation that I've seen in it.
Good deal.
So
excellent.
That's that.
Yeah. So you want to introduce that to the city and get us put on that, and maybe
way.
At least whether it's dab a toe or dive in full thing. You want to start shifting us to using modern. Forms of currency and transactions.
In fact, in Colorado, you can pay your government taxes with it now.
Gotcha.
The city of Miami is leaning towards making they are mining, they are creating the stuff. It's a complicated process.
Gotcha.
I won't even pretend to start it here, but the bottom line is the Navajo Nation north of us has earned millions of dollars this year alone just by having computers sitting there running on solar, wind, and gas.
Nice.
And we could do the same, and other than reaching out to the industry to get them to come here, even like you look at the mayor of Miami, they're trying to make it a tax-free city to live in for all the citizens.
And crypto's allowing that to be
they're
feasible.
Generating it.
Nice.
And that's one of my points is I would start, with the approval of the council, if we were mining or if we were contracting a company to mine for us, is my first goal would be elimination of property taxes for senior citizens from the proceeds of what we'd bring in. Start at 65, bring it to 60, down to 55. Like I said, the mayor of Miami is trying to make it a tax-free city. I would probably go the opposite way and try to hope to tackle utility bills for those in need next.
Sure, yeah, because we deal more with gross receipts and like you said, utilities and things, and that's a bigger impact to us than taxes per se, at least at the local level.
Yeah, you're trying to set me up for topic 2, I think here.
Well, actually, no, I want to go in a different direction because this is something very unique to you as well, and I want to delve into because I think there's a lot of people that think the same thing that you are on this, but aren't sure of the execution of it. And the other is you've said it publicly in here about you would like to at some point take this part of southeast New Mexico and secede it over to Texas and be a member of Texas rather than New Mexico. I know I've heard a bunch of people say that same thing. It's like, man, I wish we secede to Texas.
Yeah.
But we say it in like knowing full well that's not a real reality thing here.
The business owners, I'm surprised.
Let me ask you, in your brain, is that a reality thing? Or you think this is something we could really actually do?
Yeah, Cliff Pirtle brought it up last year as an amendment. Pretty sure it was shot down.
Yeah.
But, sometimes it's better you don't always need permission to do something, especially when it comes to government, stuff like that. you can not so much forgiveness, permission, but the people are rising up, whether it's masks or vaccination, whether it's what's going on in the schools and stuff like that, is that eventually the people, the government's not always acting in the best interest of the people. So this is a thing that I didn't, you see the little logo where I've got some counties of New Mexico blended into Texas. You're right. I didn't make that up. I found it on the internet last year. It's sort of a movement in the air. And I look towards, there's an article I'll link, is called Their Own Private Idaho, where there are 7 counties in Oregon who are attempting to do the same thing. And they've been at it for over 10 years. I'm not promising I could walk in and do anything.
Sure.
Mayor does not have that power.
Sure.
But I can start the discussion.
You support it. Yeah.
In Oregon, it's the same thing we're going through here. You've got a, generally speaking, conservative edge of the border counties that aren't feeling that they're represented by the city,
Sure.
300 miles away by the Capitol and the legislation that's going on. And they've been petitioning for years to move from Oregon, something similar in the West Virginia situation. I would simply say, let's start the conversation. Let's formalize all of this interest and buzz that we're hearing out.
See if we can get
I'm
some
really
legs.
surprised. I thought it was the craziest aspect that I could bring to it, but to my campaign or a talking point.
Yeah.
But it's actually the one I'm hearing the most support from.
Because there's a lot of people that really agree with that statement, but they probably, like a lot of us, think, well, that's not going to happen short of a civil war. And, we're fighting, literally the Civil War to break free from New Mexico to go to Texas.
Someone joked with me that, of course, Texas would love to annex 4 or 5 of our counties that are bordering.
Sure.
Because in the event that Texas would succeed, well, that makes us a great buffer zone.
Yeah. Well, it also cuts New Mexico being an oil and gas state in half. If we left, that really would. I mean, you still got the Four Corners region, but I know the volumes that come out of the Permian Basin and the Pecos Valley is, put it this way, they find new veins. We should not be relying on Russia for anything when it comes to that.
Gee, that's a very timely topic for you to bring up.
We shouldn't be relying one ounce of oil from Russia we should not need or impact anything we do.
I do agree with that.
That pipeline, I think I saw some stats that I think it's like we use like 60,000 barrels of Russian oil a day. If the pipeline put out 80,000 a day. So right there alone, we just put that back up. We overcost and subsede whatever oil and gas we're getting from them. Fire up that pipeline, that covers that, and then some.
Yeah,
so we're good to go.
One commentator I follow on Twitter, he just commented that they're rattling the chain, they're creating the fear. So oil prices are rising up. We may see $100 a barrel, almost $10 at the gas tank, and that's all money going to Russia profits because, like you said, we shouldn't be importing it at this time right now. We shouldn't be. There's people that are, they're switching from Stoli vodka to Tito's to not support. I mean,
you've seen a lot of that on the news.
That'll show them. Yeah, right.
But I think it will in the big picture. Like if that's going on globally, and that's what I was actually talking to Jacob Allfair about this. We were talking just off the Russian thing, and I'm sorry, I know this isn't really your campaign, but it kind of is, in the big scheme of things. And I was wondering, because like you say, you're seeing that sentiment of banning Russian products from the shelves and restaurants. If that's done globally, that's got to impact. You're right. I know we do that here in the U.S. and, it feels good, but does it make an impact at the end of the day? You see like I'll just pick Chick-fil-A, for instance. They had that out, but, I think they made more money than lost at the end of the day because the people that I'm going to go out and buy 30 chicken sandwiches if you're going to ban them, and so
I canceled Netflix before it was cool, to be honest with you. When I posted my reason for it, the cuties dilemma like that, 3 weeks before it was a big deal. People were like, "What is that about? Why are you what? Huh? What?" Yeah, so it does have an impact.
Sure.
Same as Succession or even just talking about it.
Yeah.
Is that you're right in the sense that it's our oil and gas, it's our agriculture, it's our healthcare industry right here in Roswell and then the surrounding counties that generate the bulk of both the revenue and the taxes for the state. Yet, our voice isn't being heard, our interests aren't being represented. And we, as Americans, we have this deep-seated back of our mind, taxation without representation. Yeah. Taxation without that calls for action.
Sure.
And I hope it's not, taking up arms, like you said, or civil war or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It could take 10, 20 years, But to me, it's just a matter of
Obviously, getting Texas on board would be priority one.
yeah, obviously. Now, others have suggested that we create our own state, just succeed, and that is a very interesting idea as well. I've seen it, but everyone that says succeed to Texas, there's an equal number of people that said create our own state. So I'm just going to be the first to say it. If we do that, can we call it, wait for it, Area 51?
I like it.
We'll be the 51st state.
Yeah, there's all kinds of marketing to be had there.
yeah. I would actually lean into that for the fun of it.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah, you remember when I went to that thing right before the lockdowns, the Storm Area 51?
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Everyone was like, I want to find answers. I'm like, you're not going to find any.
Yeah, you're not going to get shot either. But yeah, I was representing. That's another thing I would love to do as mayor. I would love to spend a fair amount of time out of town attending coast to coast. There are sci-fi, UFO, even Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
Sure.
I would love to see us sending more teams, myself included, to those events, passing out all of our flyers, all our brochures of all the things there are to do worth visiting Roswell.
Yeah. Can we talk just real quick? Because I know we touched on your stance on that here, but we really didn't elaborate.
Cool.
And so let's kind of clarify that for folks. You're because I think there's some confusion there. I think there's some people that said that you're like, we need to get rid of the UFO festival and just not promote that kind of stuff.
I've heard that too.
And you're like, and correct me anything I'm saying wrong here, but your opinion is no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the city needs to get out of that business and let the private entities take over and run with that ball. City facilitating where it needs to help them execute, but they shouldn't be planning, organizing it. They should just open the streets and make whatever logistics that need to happen.
It is sincerely a both and.
Yeah.
It's a both and situation. I don't believe aliens actually crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. And I have a video, I put it up today, like I was saying, that is my view on that. It actually shows the drawings of the people that cleaned up the wreckage, what the eyewitnesses say they saw, and then side by side on the same PowerPoint, I'm showing you designs from German scientists in World War II. And you put them side by side, it's like, oh, mystery solved. A lot of people don't know, we imported over 100 German scientists to El Paso. Right. Now people know Operation Paperclip, X-Files have even covered it.
Yeah.
But in the 40s, we didn't know this was going on.
All those German scientists working on, V2 rockets and new stuff, guess where they ended up?
Yeah. El Paso, White Sands, that's where they were working out of, and that's what they were testing.
You ever notice a lot of those names are German that you hear in the
Werner von Braun?
Yeah.
He was integral to both NASA and Disney for creating our modern reality.
Yeah, they spoke with thick German accents, just to warn you.
From the bottom of my heart, what I would tell people is, because of my beliefs and what I believe actually happened, people are like, it's the goose that laid the golden egg. We have all these other huge industries that have left us. This is the only thing we got, so it's kind of it makes money, therefore it is good. That is not a way I choose to live my life, personally. If someone wants to, as a politician or whatever, I'm not going to interfere with their right to do that. And you can see from the letter editor recently and a few other things, I do not think that the city should be selling T-shirts downtown in direct competition with the local businesses who make
sense
that.
To me. Yeah.
And the same with actually flip the script a little bit. The same with the convention center, as far as and I know that was pre-lockdown. That policy is that I think the local restaurant should have the opportunity to bid and to cater. If you're having a wedding and a quinceanera and your family grew up friends with Marty for years, or you've been eating at Cattle Baron or Peppers, you ought to absolutely be able to bring in your favorite dishes and serve that. They're having executive, but again, it's the competition with the businesses. That is one aspect that I can lean into politically. Personally, if I don't think it happened, I don't feel good making merchandise.
Right.
And a lot of people are coming here for entertainment, but a lot of people are coming here for truth as well. And what I'm giving away for free on the internet is the opposite of what we're selling to people. If that's how you make your living, or that's how you want to make your living, or if you just don't know. A lot of people don't know that there's a really logical man-made explanation. And sadly, it's not just German scientists, but another thing they were good at was, back in that day, was human experimentation. And there's a ton of research that shows what they were doing to children and deformed people and gargoylism and dwarfs. Research. I mean, it's part of my outlook. But
yeah, I know. Speaking
it's
of
a sick
Germans
thing to be
and things,
marketing
like,
and making money from.
if you ever get a chance to go to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., it's an amazing museum, but they actually have a section talking exactly about what you're just talking about. Of course, it was the Germans they're talking about, but basically, when we hear about the prison camps and all that kind of stuff. Well, also going on, any person, Jewish or not, that was mentally challenged, deformities, born with whatever, an extra eye, or, they were basically treated the same way and turned into human guinea pigs. The mixed blessing is we learned a lot of medical science from the experiments they did. The bad point is they tortured human beings, and basically these people's lives were sacrificed for our medical knowledge because of the sick, twisted things they did to these people.
And unfortunately, I do believe, and I do document government records that support the idea that human experimentation of that nature that you're describing played into the Roswell incident. And that was a lot of the cover-up. I don't dispute that if people were threatened with death, if they opened their mouths, radio station threatened to lose their FCC license, that's true. When I moved here, I didn't know any of this, but when 1999, like I said, and especially if you open up in that realm, my first little venture downtown was a shop that had books with orthodox biblical perspectives on UFOs and aliens and abductions, which not a lot of market for. You can't make a living doing that. But I included it in the mix because if people are coming here looking for truth, you have to have something optional like that. Here's a third option, or here's the other option.
Sure.
But the human experimentation aspect of it is that I don't doubt that people were threatened. I'd hear from people, well, my grandfather or my uncle, and this, that, the other thing, salt of the earth. And it challenged me, and I really had to just, wow, if I'm wrong about this, it was prayer. I was like, God, I want to know what really happened.
Sure. People were legit scared to share their stories.
Yeah.
And there's only one reason to be legit scared is someone threatened them to be quiet.
The witnesses aren't lying, but I think what was being a tagline I used back then was alien spacecraft is not being covered up. Alien spacecraft is the cover-up.
Interesting.
For what was really happening.
Gotcha. Interesting. Either way, you love to get into more of some of that here. Shoot, we're running short on time.
Okay.
I know I want to keep talking, but there's a whole lot to cover. Let me give you a chance here to talk about some of your other your platform points. I know some of the ones we didn't cover,
Sure.
and some of the things that we got to talking about and go down rabbit holes and other things. But I want to give you an opportunity to talk about some of those other things that you're like, no, as mayor, these are what I support.
A reduction of the white collar salaries of many of the city officials that came up in the leadership forum for Roswell. It wasn't a debate, but it was supposed to be a forum. It's the one thing Mayor Kintai turned around and just flat out rebuked me for my opinion on in a corrective way, not in a rude way at all.
Gotcha.
Totally respect him. He's done a great job, and honestly, I did vote for him last time.
Gotcha.
When I first decided that I was going to run,
Sure.
I didn't even know he was going for a third term.
Gotcha.
And
so you're running for you. You're not running to because of anti somebody else. You're running because this is something I want to do. It's just it lined up. These people also do it, so here we sit.
No doubt that I just feel that I'm called to run
Gotcha.
for it. It's not a reaction to anything bad going on. You are right in that. But with there are ways of bringing new money that people don't have to rely only on the past. And I've talked about promoting the arts as well. That's kind of the third leg of my campaign.
Gotcha.
But between cutting some of these white collar salaries, I said in the forum, in Roswell, New Mexico, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 is regionally appropriate dream job, especially with benefits. But we have over a dozen or more. There's a list that I'm not publishing because of my sort. But anyway, I'll show it. But we have $100,000, $150,000, over $175,000 positions.
Sure.
You want to make the zoo a little cheaper to attend, or the pool's free if you have a local ID. If you're a Roswell resident whose taxes are paying to build and maintain these things, I would support. You could just cut a bunch of salaries. Here's how you hire officers.
Sure.
Here's how you give officers raises, perhaps. And people have to understand, I think the mayor does not have the power to enact all of these things.
That's city council.
If you come to me or if you come to so-and-so, but make this happen, the answer is I can submit your idea to others, but it's a team effort. The mayor simply has the tie-breaking vote in a 5-5 city council lock.
And you're the marshal that kind of runs the meeting, making sure everyone stays on task. At the end of the day, that, as Jacob said last hour, that's kind of the most important job of the mayor is keeping everybody on task at the council meeting. That's
honestly, back in the day, I've been at UFO conferences in Hollywood, California, and in Washington, D.C., and one of the favorite roles that I get assigned from the organizers of these events is the panel question moderator. Because, I do bring it back on topic.
Yeah.
I will cut you off if you're there to preach a sermon rather than ask a question and stuff like that.
So you got that skill set already down.
You're correct.
You're ready to slide in that chair day one and do
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Day one, though, you're right on that.
Very good.
But again, like I said, I want to go out of town a little bit and attract people to Roswell for the symphony, for the Wayway, for the community theater. Things that they'll come to Roswell. If they're in our drive distance and they get hooked, like people are saying people don't come to Roswell for that. Well, A, that's not correct. But B, we don't market it that way yet.
Yeah.
But this week alone, Chris, one of your guys, they had a couple stay an extra day, an extra hotel.
I heard
bed
about
night.
this, yeah.
Yeah, from South Dakota. We had a group come up from Carlsbad on Sunday, and I'm sure they didn't just turn around. I bet they
came
ate
and
here.
ate and shopped.
They They got some gas and headed out. But I think there's we have a drive time market of people that are 3, 4, 5 hours away that would need a hotel room. But if you gave them something to come 2-3 times a year, if they fell in love with our theater,
absolutely,
or Wayway, or the symphony, and I wish Anderson Museum was on Main Street. That's one of my favorite.
It's a beautiful museum.
Attractions to
and their miniatures museum
to.
right on this end of town.
Miniatures, the Armac.
Yeah. These are all great.
I've talked to someone at the Armac, and they said they have to give 1 or 2 refunds a day because people will be walking around the Roswell Museum and Art Center, and they'll finally be like, "Where's all the UFO stuff?" So they send them down the street, and sorry. So it is it does bring people.
Sure.
I'm definitely saying more.
Absolutely. By the way, since I'm doing this, I'm going to do a quick plug. We got one more weekend of shows for the Roswell Community Theater. Go see. I saw it this weekend. It was great. 4 Old Broads. You got one more weekend. They had a great show. A lot of fun. That cast worked their butt off, and it's amazing.
During the lockdowns, I'd say getting involved with the community theater just saved me.
And of course, Way Off Broadway is about to do Sound of Music. Get your tickets for that. That's going to be great to see. And then I know right after we're done with 4 Old Broads, Community Little Theater is going to be working on Clue. And I think I want to say coming up here next week or two, they've got auditions coming up, like somewhere around March 7th.
Yeah, people need to quit saying there's nothing to do in Roswell. That's untrue. That is a stronghold. That is a lie. There's lots to do. You just need to get out and do it and support your local community.
So let me, before we go, give an opportunity. I know Election Day is tomorrow and everything, but if people want to learn more about Guy Malone or get involved or help out or, any of this stuff, what's the best way to do that?
Thank you, Chris, and 106 for helping me design with the first ad I did. But go to roswellguy.com
there you go.
To learn all the reasons to vote for somebody rather than against.
Absolutely, and you can see his entire platform, everything. Most of what we talked about. Yeah, and then of course, if you want to reach out and learn more about any Bitcoin or anything like that, that's his day job. You'll be happy to talk to you about that.
Don't charge for that. I'll show you how to connect your bank account.
Yeah.
They said 5 years ago people were speculating. 2 years ago we were investing. Now it's savings.
I'd like to bring you on one day here
Let's
after
do
all this election
we
stuff.
can make it a weekly or a quarterly, just QA.
Talk a little bit. At least get people introduced to it and familiar with it, and then go from there. That'd be good. So, well, thank you, sir. Good luck tomorrow. Win, lose, or draw. Again, thank you for doing what you do. And I know whether you're mayor after tomorrow or not, you're going to still keep getting involved in the committee and doing your thing. So
thank you for what you do.
Appreciate you.
Bringing us all on.
Some people love it. Some people not so much. It's just one of those things. I'm good at making everyone happy and mad at the same time. I'm pretty adept at doing that.